YouTube, I'm Claire, aka Lesbian Nerd, here to put diverse books in the spotlight. If you're here for representation or just to diversify your reading list, I hope that I can offer some titles that you can enjoy. So, today is going to be part 2 of my series on YA fiction with Black trans protagonists, and today I'm going to be talking about Not Your Villain by C.B. Lee. I really love this book. So before I get into the review, I just need to tell you that Not Your Villain is the second book in a series. Not Your Sidekick is the first one, which I also reviewed. So when I talk about this, there will be spoilers for Not Your Sidekick. So if you would like to avoid those, click away right now. So anybody who sticks around after that should be okay with spoilers. So this story is about a world that is set a little over 100 years in the future, and people have superpowers that were caused by radiation from a solar flare. This world has heroes and villains, and there are often these big fights that are very publicized in the media, and all the heroes have fan clubs, and it's a very big deal in this world. But over the course of the last book, the characters found out that things aren't really as they seem. The heroes aren't as heroic, and the villains aren't always as villainous as they're made out to be. And they are uncovering some pretty big conspiracies. So this book follows Belle's Broussard. It seems like each book is going to follow a different character from this main group of friends. The first one followed Jess, and I'm just going to read the back really quick for you. Okay. Being a shapeshifter is awesome. Belle's Broussard thought he had it made when his superpowers manifested early. Being a shapeshifter is awesome. He can change his hair whenever he wants, and if putting on a binder for the day is too much, he's got it covered. But that was before he became the country's most wanted villain. After discovering a massive cover-up by the Heroes League of Heroes, Bells and his friends, Jess, Emma, and Abby, set off on a secret mission to find the Resistance. Meanwhile, power-hungry former hero Captain Orion is on the loose with a dangerous serum that renders metahumans powerless, and a new militarized robotic threat emerges. Sometimes, to do a hero's job, you need to be a villain. So, in this book, the fact that Bells is trans is present right away in the story. They talk about binders, testosterone shots, how he picked out his name, and it's just there throughout. But it's not what this book is about. This book is about superheroes and dystopia and life and being a teenager and a whole bunch of other stuff. So it's very much a part of Bells' character, but not so much part of the story. And I think that's really cool because I've found that a lot of times queer characters in literature, their issues and stories are all about them being queer and not much beyond that. And that's something that's really bothered me because I'd like to read stories where queer characters can be the heroes and hadn't been able to find that for a while. So I really appreciate that. Bells as a character is super duper interesting. So you know how most superheroes have this kind of double life thing going on? Bells has that times 10. He's got several secrets that he is keeping throughout the book. First off, that his parents run an underground farm. Because in this world, all the farmers are required to sell their produce to the government, and let the government redistribute it among the different cities at really jacked up prices. and are not allowed to sell it independently, but Bells' family does. And this is something that is talked about at the beginning of the book, so I don't really consider it a spoiler. And it's also important to Bells, but his family is part of this underground, like, grassroots farmer organization, just selling their produce. And because of that, they don't really want a lot of attention drawn to them. So when Bells gets superpowers, that becomes kind of a big problem, because not only are superheroes very in the public eye, but Bells is also the first person with superpowers to emerge that did not have any family members with superpowers before him. So his powers appear to be a mutation and really, really outside the norm. And if anybody knew about that, it could get some very, very intense attention drawn towards them. So, what Bells does when he goes to superhero training is he shapeshifts into another person named Barry Carmichael. He creates this whole fake identity, so his secret identity is already a fake identity. And the people at his superhero training academy know him as this person. And that becomes a very, very lucky thing when he and his friends figure out that the whole superhero setup is not as heroic as it is made out to be, and they cut ties with it, and Bells cuts ties with it, and he, if you read the first book, you know that he becomes a wanted villain that went rogue after his hero stint in the eyes of the government and the public. So he's dealing with that, but nobody knows who he actually is. Nobody knows that his superhero identity, chameleon, is Bells. They think it's Barry. So that works out for him, but he's got to avoid shifting in public. He's got to avoid letting people know. And it causes a lot of issues. So, there's a lot of main characters in this book. There's a lot of queer main characters. Bells himself is trans. His older brother has a boyfriend. In the first book, Jess and Abby, they're both queer. There's a character that talks about thinking they might be on the aro ace spectrum. There are two characters who use they them pronouns, so there's a lot of awesome representation going on here. Also, there are lots of characters of color. Bells is black, Jess is Asian, and Emma is Latina. So basically most of the main cast. And I really like the friendship that goes on in this book. I like the sidekick squad with Jess and her brother Brendan and Bells and Emma and Abby. I think it's all really good. And I especially liked the kind of romantic tension that was in here throughout this book. So basically, Bells is pretty much hopelessly in love with his best friend Emma, but way too scared to tell her. So that is the source of a lot of drama through this. And I don't know about you, but I am a huge sucker for the friends to lovers trope. So I had a lot of fun with this. I really enjoyed it. But I think it's a really, really good read. And if you would like to read a series that has a whole bunch of queer and trans people of color in the lead, I highly suggest that you pick this up. It is so worth it. It's written very well, and I really love all the characters. And can I just say that if the third book doesn't have a purple color scheme, I'm going to be very disappointed. Gotta finish up the secondary color trilogy. That'd be great. But yeah, if you have any suggestions for books that you'd like me to read, that you'd like me to review, I would love to hear about it. Comment below. If there's any kind of representation that you're just dying to see, let me know. I'll see what I can do, what I can find on the interwebs. I think that it's really important to see ourselves represented in the books we read in a positive light, and unfortunately, a lot of that us finds books like that harder to find. So I'm here to do as much as I can to help. In addition to that, the resource that I'm going to post today for finding books that might be similar to this or have similar representation to this is going to be Redbone Press. This is a publishing house that publishes work by queer Black authors. So I highly recommend that you check that out. They've got several books published, and you can find a lot of good stuff through there. I hope you all have an excellent day and keep reading and stay awesome. Bye-bye.